Good morning, reading the comments. Yes, I'm here. I am almost back on schedule. I have been hosting a young man who I fostered in Los Angeles, just graduated high school, reconnected with him after a while, and flew him out to come hang out as he determines what the future is going to hold for him. And so it was like a week and a half, and then we even extended it a few more days because he's a big basketball fan. And he was very much rooting against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He thought SGA, the MVP, was a fake MVP. And so he was rooting for the Pacers, rooting for the Pacers, rooting for the Pacers. And then we took a look. It's like, oh, wait, you're going to be in the air on a plane going home during Game 7? You know, and we had watched the games and rooted for the Pacers together. It was like, you know what? Let's just go ahead. Let's just go ahead and do a flight swap. Change the date of your departure. Stay here a couple extra days, and let's go into Indianapolis. Let's go to Indianapolis. And we actually got tickets for the watch party. So we got to go into the stadium, into the arena. 20,000 people roughly to watch on the big screens, the Game 7. That was a good experience. Now, I'm telling you that to set up your comments over here. Let me put the comments up. I'm almost ready to settle back into a schedule. You know, life does that sometimes. Maybe you'll be traveling, maybe you'll be working, maybe you have personal issues, health issues, maybe you have friends or family issues, neighborhood issues, volunteer issues, second job issues. There's a million things that can take us off of our routine, our path. And aside from a couple of days, maybe it was only 2 days that I missed, I've still been logging in to deliver the TDAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. But yeah, setting up the exact time and getting everything prepared, I'm almost back into a rhythm. The thing you might not understand about putting shows together, well, it's the component of the production of the show. We all have our systems, we all have our methodologies. But some people have teams and some people have to wear every hat. And so, yeah, I'm ready to go. I kind of know what some of the main issues are, and I'm ready to discuss them. But on the other hand, there's additional research to be done. And so, yes, I was doing some additional research, trying to round out the topics for today's program. So we did delay the launch time just a bit. But thank you all for being here. You want the cookie. New watcher from, what is this, Twitch or Kick? Where are we at? This is Twitch. Thanks for jumping in. You want the cookie. I promise you we will talk about the mayor of New York. I promise we're going to talk about it. It's in the stack. I found the stories. We got some context, and it's about to get spicy in New York. We're going to discuss that. In the meantime, while I launch and I have to hit reset and get everything going, give you the promo to today's show, please, you want the cookie. Tell me how you feel about the new mayor of New York, and then I will incorporate your thoughts into today's program. That's why we get people like Kenneth. What's up, Kenneth, in Florida? David over there in Ontario, Canada. And you, perhaps, you want the cookie, joining us for our daily show, the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media, because we incorporate your conversations into the program. We actually do enjoy hearing from you and what you think. So type in the comments, you want the cookie. What do you think about the New York mayoral situation? For every new watcher, please follow us and hit subscribe on a couple different platforms, because we have been censored by Meta, shadow banned, and demonetized by YouTube. We have like 1,900 videos, millions of views over 14 years. But follow the New American Media on the places scrolling at the bottom of the screen. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_Media_. And our podcast is The Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. Also scrolling at the bottom of the screen, if anyone wants to toss something into our tip jar, we're on Patreon, and we appreciate every one of our monthly subscribers. Thank you. It is growing, and we want it to grow more. We appreciate your support. We're on Patreon at The New American Media, Venmo and Cash App, the tip jar, at BrianEngelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. If you want to be a real mensch, would you? Go ahead and hit pause, and you can see at the bottom of the screen where you can make your donation. Thank you so much. And of course, as always, scrolling at the bottom, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and cisa.gov/rumor control. I tell you this under duress as a disclaimer for countervailing views so that we don't get demonetized and shadow banned again. So yes, we will talk about the mayor of New York City situation. We're going to talk about who has been the fake president running the Autopen scandal and so much more. So here it begins, the official launch of today's program. Got to get that intro in. Ready? Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in an undisclosed location. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, June 25, 2025. And this is the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. Let's go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
It feels so good to be back. Look at this. We have, I love our international audience. Canada represent. You are our brothers to the north. Yeah, I know. Trump was giving your guy a little bit of grief. Yeah, he was like, yeah, we'll make Canada our 51st state. But look, we want a strong Canada with sensible borders, with gun rights. You have the right to self-defense. I don't care what tyrant tries to tell you, you don't. We don't want to see that truckers have to do their barricades, their protests, and then the truckers are getting targeted, people getting debanked. The amount of abuse that's been occurring to our brothers to the north in Canada has been appalling, disgusting. We want America to be a beacon. We want Canada to receive the signal and Canada to stand up for itself. Uncontrolled immigration is drastically changing the demographics of your country. You're not Canada anymore. David's up there. He says Canada is a complete mess. If you don't have immigration control, you don't have a nation. And that's the goal of the globalist. They want to blur everyone together. Just mix it all up. It's a melting pot, they say. Oh, that's the goal. That's what we want. No, it's not. What we want is a cohesive team. I had the somewhat unexpected opportunity to go speak with our new, relatively new head football coach of the high school where I graduated from. And I mainly wanted to tell the players a couple of points. There were a few points I really wanted to make. Number one, it doesn't matter where you start. My mom wouldn't let me play football, but one day I saved my birthday money up, went and bought a pair of cleats, and I informed her that I was now a part of the football team, where I stayed for 5 years. Until 2 years into my football career, I made a mistake. I was in a math class that I didn't particularly care about. I was told, you're fine. Your eligibility's fine as long as you don't fail it 2 classes. If you don't fail 2 classes, you're fine. Well, there was a technicality. See, gym and health counted as a year-long class, 2 semesters or 2 quarters each, 1 semester each. But I had gym in the second 9 weeks instead of health. So that didn't count, which meant the percentage of my past classes didn't keep me eligible. And I lost an entire season of eligibility as a sophomore. And so I warned the kids, don't slack off. Don't allow a referee to miss a call. And, you're the one in charge. Go make the play. And, don't slack off. Don't slack off and just assume everything will be okay, because I got busted on a technicality. And it cost me an entire season of eligibility. And it was a lesson. What I worked into that lesson was the rule of 3s, or the rule of stupid. Don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things. The stupid thing I did was, putting my head down after a big lunch and being tired and bored in this, I think it was a geometry class. I'm like, or maybe it was algebra. I don't know, whatever it was. Don't go stupid places with stupid people and do stupid things. Sometimes you can escape if you're not doing all 3, but I'm warning these kids, just get it together. But I also said it doesn't matter where you came from. I wasn't allowed to play. And when I did finally play in 8th grade, our team sucked. Terrible. Winless. Hopeless. Helpless. What's that from? Kenneth knows. Hopeless. Helpless. But I said the rear view mirror on your windshield is small for a reason. Don't look back at last year. The team was not super successful last year. Don't look backward. Don't worry about it. You got a big windshield. Look forward and focus on succeeding. You're part of a great program. Act like it. And I was able to kind of deliver those and a few other messages, along with some excitement, saying that, hey, I wasn't the tallest, strongest, biggest, fastest prospect on this team, but I fought hard. And I held up a picture from the newspaper, and they used it for our school program, for our sports program for many years, because it was an incredible picture from the playoffs where I got a sack in an absolute blizzard in a 1-point victory in the first round of the playoffs. So it's like, you don't have to be 6'6", 260 to make a difference. You can be legendary. You can make an impact. So I had that chance to talk to them, and it was pretty cool. It was recalibrating, if you will. And it's shedding some historical perspective to a bunch of kids that, they're 17, born after 9/11. They don't know the history of these 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons that we had when we were one of the most dominant programs in the state. And so that was cool. But I want people, when they join a country, to join a team. Your Team America, World Police. Oh, yeah. Coming again to save the day, yeah, America. Oh, yeah. Liz, what's up? Liz watching on Facebook. Dave Ramsey says that too. What does Dave Ramsey say? Oh, that's the key for everybody in the comments. When you drop a comment like Dave Ramsey says that too, I move fast and I'm juggling chainsaws and apples and I'm moving between multiple screens and multiple lights and multiple computer tabs. I don't remember what I'm talking about, and I don't remember what the comment is. Does Dave Ramsey say about the rear view mirror in the windshield? But that's the thing. You can take advice from anywhere if it's good and just repurpose it into what you're discussing today. But when someone immigrates to your nation, it's a melting pot. Yeah, bring your shitty ideas. And okay, the look forward comment. Got it. Cool. That was my guess, and I was right that time. But yeah, for every comment to have the most impact, kind of leave that little tag so I know what we're talking about. Yeah, I was thinking about getting Dave to come talk to the team as well, Liz. I was talking with Brian Colin about coming to talk to the team. I think what I'm going to do is try to set up an alumni return program to talk to the kids, to kind of just some historical perspective and kind of build up the fraternity a little bit and get the kids excited. What it was like playing in state championship games. It was awesome. But the point I'm making with all of this, all right, the second pseudo point was I thought it was super cool that because my uncle, unbeknownst to me, showed up and became the team chaplain for our school during those 2 undefeated seasons. His son, my cousin, flew in from California to be like the new pseudo chaplain so 30 years later, here we are bringing it back. It's just, it's incredible. You blink and 30 years passes. It's been a long, strange trip. I've had fun with it, but my goodness. But when you join a nation, you're not melting pot, bringing all your shitty ideologies and, I ruined the last place I was at with my bad ideas. I want to come here and ruin this place with my bad ideas. No. They say, don't California my Texas. Don't California my Idaho. Don't California my Nashville. Don't ruin it by bringing your crap ideology in. When you enter Canada, when you enter the United States, you're supposed to look at the Bill of Rights, the big, beautiful Bill of Rights. They said, sir, what about this dusty old document? I said, it's relevant. It's relevant. But you're supposed to adopt the ideology of the place that you are. Become a part of the team. And if you're not a part of the team, there's the door. You're either on the team or you're not. And so Canada has been transformed into something it's not. The United States has been transformed into something that it's not. And that's not okay. We're going to talk about the New York mayoral race. Do you want a radical Islamist socialist running New York? Just 24 years after 9/11, is this really the direction New York wants to go? Chicago went that route. Los Angeles went that route. It doesn't end well. Margaret Thatcher famously said in the 1980s, the problem with communism, and by the way, I know they're not all the same, but communism, Marxism, Leninism, Stalinism, socialism, globalism, it's all the same ball of bullshit. I know it's not the same, but whatever. It's a distinction without very many differences. Margaret Thatcher famously said, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of everybody else's money to spend. Because that's what it is. It's the politics of envy, the politics of greed. Thomas Sowell, one of the smartest people out there, said, why is it righteous to demand that successful people pay more money in taxes, but it's not, and it's greedy for someone to want to keep the money that they earn, but it's not greedy to want to steal money that you didn't earn? Where does that make sense? So yeah, Canada, United States, parallel timelines, sort of. Your brothers, we want that northern border to be secure. Every time I cross, they check my ID, get pulled away for secondary screening from time to time. A couple of times. I want to fix Canada. I want to fix my old high school football team. I want to fix the United States. So, yes. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It is great. Yes. Kenneth, is he cool? Yes, he is cool. He seems to have his head screwed on straight, and he's trying to make a decision between joining the military, going into construction, maybe contracting, and he's got some ins over in the Palisades where they got thousands of homes that need to be rebuilt. And by the way, the illegal aliens are being rounded up. You didn't go through the front door. You didn't show an ID. We didn't run a criminal background check. You don't have a green card. You don't have a work visa. You're here illegally. These jobs should be going to Americans like Izzy, perhaps. Americans who are looking to get job skills, looking to make a difference in their community. American jobs should be going to Americans. This isn't rocket science, people. And it's not hateful. You take care of your own. You take care of your own. It's not your job to police the world. So that's interesting. Yes. Is he cool? Yes, he is. So yeah, we're going to have to figure out if he's going to college, military, construction, or other. All right. You want the cookie? Yeah, please hit subscribe. You want the cookie? Hopefully you can join and participate in the show. You want the cookie? Kooky. It says kooky. I'm living in Toronto. Welcome from Toronto. Is Toronto where they have the CN Tower? I think the CN Tower is in Toronto, right? I went to go see that as a kid. You want the cookie says, from what I've seen so far, he's pushing for what I can see, either a rent freeze. This is the mayor of New York, this radical Islamist, as some people describe him. Rent freeze or to lower it. He's been active in campaigns with talks with the community. So far, what I know, he seems like a chill guy. But I'd love to learn more about him since I don't know much so far. All right, perfect. Well, then we're here together to kind of unpack who this guy is, what he represents. I think the bullet point in a nutshell thing, it's sort of that quote that I read you. Eventually, you run out of other people's money to spend. It's the politics of envy and greed. It's like, hey, we got to go take from people. How about you encourage people to become successful so they can make? Encourage a way for people to make, not to take. Republicans are builders and creators. Democrats are envious takers. Not all the time. And yes, the rent is too damn high. Remember, there was a candidate. His whole pitch in New York City was the rent is too damn high. I forget that guy's name. I can see him, a black dude, like a salt and peppered, maybe a white beard. His whole campaign, he was from the rent is too damn high party. And that's true. The rent is too damn high. But there's a lot of places to live in the United States, a lot of places in Canada. You don't have to pay a premium. But then again, you get paid more in those places as well. So some of it balances out. But having lived for 15 years in a big blue city in Los Angeles, I've seen both sides of this. 15 years I lived out there. Kenneth referencing my timeline in the year 2000s. Thank you for that. David says, I can't seem to give the thumbs up anymore on anything I watch. So you're saying that's across YouTube? And by the way, I encourage everybody watching on YouTube to follow the New American Media on Rumble. Rumble is the new YouTube that doesn't censor. And we have been monetized for a long time. So if you let the advertisements play, it's like tossing a penny into our wishing well. It's always appreciated. Yeah, YouTube has definitely throttled. I don't know. We have like 6,000 people subscribe to us, millions of views, 14 years of content, 1,900 videos. And it's like they cap our video. They won't let more people see our stuff. Our show we did an interview with John McAfee about the Vault 7 data dump, the WikiLeaks Vault 7 data dump. Got 130,000 views in 2 hours, and they zapped the video. They zapped my channel. It really hasn't been the same ever since. So did I shut up or did I keep going? Well, to everything there is a season. Turn. And I'm doing these daily shows and enjoying it. The daily shows might move to later in the day, perhaps, but for now, they're roughly 10, 11, 12, something like that. Yeah, so you can't use the thumbs up. I'm not surprised. It's weird. You've been thumb blocked. And that's David. What position did you play in football? You said high school football. I loved those times. That's what I told these kids. And I had some coaches afterward. They're like, I really like that. I'm glad you talked. And it was mainly me setting up with our new football coach at my high school to communicate with Justin. And so Justin, my cousin, could come and give his speech. And then Justin was like, well, can you come up for it? I'm like, it's like 5-6 hours of driving. Like, it's not easy. And then Izzy was in town. Wasn't easy for Izzy. And I'm like, well, I mean, this could be something cool for him to see. Afterward, he's like, that was good. I didn't know you spoke like that. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you did a good job up there speaking and he goes, I didn't know you. I'm like, I don't know. I've never talked to my old high school football team before. That was the first. And I ended up going on right after Justin did. And he did a good job firing people up. And everybody was keyed in, locked in, paying attention. So it made it a lot of fun. But that is what one of the coaches said, came up and was just like, I really liked like your excitement and your passion, like talking about being a dominant team and just reminding these kids, like, that's our pedigree. That's what we're aiming at. And I told the kids, I'm like, you're going to look back. And by the way, I said there was a couple of points. There's probably 40, 50 points I was making. I only scripted out like 3 bullet points and I ad-libbed the rest. We did record it. I got to get a copy of that. But I said, you're going to look back on these days as some of the best days of your life. You're going through 2-a-days and you're sweating your ass off and you're tired and you're working and I don't know, maybe you got a good girlfriend situation back home, or maybe you're trying to get through something. Maybe you have a great family situation. Maybe you hate your family. Maybe you're doing well in school. Maybe you hate school. Maybe you're doing well at work. Maybe you hate work. I don't know. Just pick a day. It could be all of those things. Pick a week. You might experience all of those emotions as a range. I said, but football, you guys don't understand how good you have it. You have an outlet. No matter what you're going through in your day, you get to show up and put your helmet on and let all of your frustration out in a focused way. Oh, it's the best. Nothing like it. David, you're right. You love those times. What position did you play? Kenneth was good at tabletop paper football. Nice. David, my high school team that I was on was terrible. We lost all the seniors when I started. Yeah. Like I said, we were a winless team in 8th grade, undefeated in 12th grade. So little rear view mirror, big windshield, focus forward. Don't hang with the stupid dude. Yes. Don't go stupid places with stupid people doing stupid things. And what Coach Carter told me, he's like, thanks for coming in and like looking forward to it. And, it's good to get fresh voices in because I talk so much. Sometimes you wonder if they're tuning you out because you just have that voice, whether it's your mom or your dad or a family member, a sibling, or someone close to you. Yeah. The people closest to us, they're sometimes the easiest to disregard. So we just came in with fresh perspectives and unique insights and went to Culver's. Our city has a Culver's now. That was cool. And one of the dudes, the cornerback, was there. He came over, said hi, and we were talking. Yeah, it's like you don't know which of these kids you're going to impact, and maybe something you said will stick with them. Maybe they're out with a friend. A friend's been knocking a few drinks back as an 18-year-old or something. It's like, hey, let's go to this thing. And you're looking at him, and he's like dropping his car keys. You're like, that sounds like a stupid place. I don't think I want to go do that. Stupid person drinking and driving, stupid place getting inside that car, stupid thing getting inside that. Maybe something could keep one of these kids out of trouble or more, or motivate some kids. I'm like, guys, I busted my ass for years and years to be a backup, to just play on special teams. But guess what? I got to play on a special team. We were undefeated, state championship game. We were winning at halftime. We lost. I said, but I got to recover a fumble. It wasn't a fumble. I got to recover an onside kick in the state championship Division I football game as a backup. No shame being a backup. I was sitting behind Peterson and Prohaska, two all-state defensive ends. No shame. But you're one tweaked ankle away from Engel. Get in there. You're like, let's go. You got to be ready. Ugh. I love football so much. Love it. Bottom line, we were garbage also, but they were great times. Yep. Canada high school football is still 4 downs. You were number 44. Does anyone know my number? Liz might know my number. All right. Okay, there you go. You played outside linebacker and tight end on offense. There you go. Yeah, I was recruited. I had the Division III National Championship Mount Union Purple Raiders coach calling my dad a lot. He wanted me to get in there. I didn't. But they said they would probably move me from defensive end to outside linebacker. You know, I wonder, like the parallel dimensions that exist. How many other versions of me would I get to see? And I wonder if that's heaven and hell. Where it's like you get to see, hey, had you made this choice instead, here's what your life would have been. It's like the Scrooge story. Yeah, it's like the Scrooge story. You get to see what you could have been, or had you not done this, or had you done this, here's how things would have went differently. I wonder if I played football at Bowling Green. I mean, that was Urban Meyer's first year. Who knows? Maybe I would have played and graduated and stayed on the coaching staff. Maybe I would have. I don't know. You just never know. Maybe I would have went and played and got a scholarship, but you just never know. I had a lot of schools recruiting me for both football and tennis. Yes, I was one of the few people in the state of Ohio who lettered in both football and tennis. But yeah, I do wonder about that. What you could have been if you would have made different choices. That's it's almost going to be too much to bear. The things you could have been, or the opportunities you missed out on, and what you did instead. But it's okay. Everybody's got them. That's rear view mirror shit. It's there. Glance at it. When they say you're meditating, you're supposed to let a thought that comes into your head. You're trying to avoid thoughts. But if you find yourself thinking about something, let it float over you like a cloud. Identify it in the clear sky and push it off and watch it go away. Now that sky is clear again. That's how you meditate. You can acknowledge the thought, but just send it on its way. So yeah, Kenneth saying military could be good. It could be good. I'm trying not to sway him too strongly. I did try talking my brother. I said, out of joining the service, I said, don't go be a pawn in somebody else's war. You know, and I mentioned a thing or two to Izzy, but I'm like, I mean, we need good people defending this country. And finally, we have some decent leadership for the first time. And jeez, I mean, what? 12 of the last 16 years have been an absolute train wreck. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Military could be good. Yes. Okay. CN Tower is in Toronto. You're in Stony Creek / Hamilton. Got it. Kenneth testing out. He was able to hit thumbs up. That's good. David, yes, on YouTube, but I think it happens after you're shown. They seem to hate you, Brian. But here's the thing. They don't hate me. They hate you. They hate the people who would listen to someone like me, which is you. Because, yeah, we cover the news, but we also have expansive thoughts about all the things. I have a psychology degree. I love philosophy. I love listening to you tell your stories. I mean, we're sitting here talking about number 44 up there, playing outside linebacker and tight end. We're talking about David Bann, of all things, and that's okay. You're the regulars. I consider myself to be the bartender. You're the regulars who are hanging out. I want to hear your stories as well. But I am going to get to all the news for sure. Kenneth says artificial intelligence is driving some of these screening issues that we're facing on social media. Yes. If and when they listen, they always listen. I was listening to John B. Wells, who was a guest on the show a couple weeks ago. Special thanks to John. Go check him out on Caravan to Midnight. But he was talking about how all these smart TVs are spying on you. And they never told you. And you never signed a consent to this. And they're recording everything that you're watching. It's really weird. It's really weird. All right. Kenneth, oh, the babies I would have made. Hey, that is one of the things I just thought about. You know, I had an ex that I was with for a while, and maybe there's an alternate universe where maybe I have an 18-year-old who's graduated high school now, headed to the next step. And I've knocked out a couple of kids and, you know, on a different path. I didn't do that yet. Maybe I still will. Who knows? Oh, the kids. Oh, the babies I would have made. Yes, David. Google, YouTube, Meta, they dislike what we have to say. Yeah, Trump always said that they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I just happen to be in the way. That's why I'm taking all the shots here. And that's how I view about this censorship. They don't like you thinking, which is why I don't like them. All right, let's jump into all the stories that we have, starting off on Instagram. If you want to get a head start on the content that we're going to discuss on today's program, go ahead and subscribe to the New American Media page on Instagram. Follow a lot of great accounts. I share a lot of interesting stuff, and so you'll kind of get a sneak peek in the stories of the day about the things we're going to discuss. So this guy was interviewed. I found this interesting. Let's click to see the full post. Just straight up, he appears to be asked a very specific question, but it's wide open. He's given Israel or Palestine, says the interviewer. Says follow Street Gonzo. So I guess that's the person. I think, okay, I am following now. Israel or Palestine? Here's the answer. And before we do, of course, I want you to type if you agree or disagree with the guy who's going to be answering the question. All right, agree or disagree with the answerer.
Or Palestine.
America, dude. United States of George Washington, dude. My mom came here. She swam here. It's all day, every day, America, United States. Honestly, dude, I love hummus and I love bagels, but look, dude, that's their problem. That's not really my problem. I don't go over next door neighbors when, like, the dude's, you know, beating his wife or where the girl's beating her kids. That's their problem. Yeah, I have my hand up my shirt because, honestly, I want to pledge allegiance to this flag. You know what I mean?
Israel or Palestine?
America, dude. United States of George Washington, dude. My mom.
There's so much to unpack from that one. That was a very short reply, but it was jam-packed with probably about 30 different things. But yeah, I mean, you know, we sort of have to focus on our own problems, right? I agree that we sort of need to, and it's like, oh, you two don't like each other. Well, there's okay things about you, and there's okay things about you. I like hummus and I like bagels. But really, like if you hear your neighbors yelling at each other, the kids are crying and, you know, kids getting spanked and yelling and, you know, course correction on their behavior and what it's like, do I need to charge into everybody's home like the Kool-Aid man? Just busting out the brick. You know, there's a laissez-faire, hands-off approach. Now, on the flip side, you know, look, I really do value the thoughts of Scott Adams. I think he's one of the better pundits that we have in the country. Continued prayers to him as he seems to be battling what's called a terminal situation. He said he has the same diagnosis as Joe Biden. So he thinks his days are numbered. Maybe that's not the case. That would be great if that's true. But, you know, he says President Trump, if he pulled off what he thinks actually happened by knocking out these 3 facilities and ending the nuclear program of Iran, you know, he's calling President Trump the greatest president ever. You know, him and George Washington. It's just every president has talked about, oh, Iran can't have nukes. Iran can't have nukes. Iran can't have nukes. Meanwhile, Obama's funding Iran so that they can push their nuke programs. The bunker busting bombs There's a 72-hour rule. Should we get fired up and go, oh, we're in World War III. I can't believe we did that. President Trump violated the War Powers Act. Okay. Oh, CNN, I can't believe it didn't work. It didn't do anything. It's a failed mission. I can't believe it's such a waste. Can you believe it? And now we're going to have sleeper cells coming in. And you're like, okay, that's an overreaction on the other side. And it's like, as things settle and simmer, we try to get the information. We don't have the information when anything happens right away. We just don't. David says he loves what this dude is saying. I love hummus and I love bagels, bro. You guys are fighting in your house. We're like, it's not my place to jump into your situation. That's a you thing. There's a lot of people who are so frustrated. Some people say just drop the nukes already, turn the whole area into a glass factory and hit reset. You're both banned. You guys won't stop fighting in the sandbox. Put the lid on, lock it up. Sandbox is closed. You go into that corner. You go into that corner. You go to Greenland. You go to Zimbabwe. You go to Iceland. You go to northern Mexico. You just separate each other. You won't stop fighting. I know it's more complicated than that, but it just elicits some of these similar frustrations that we hear about. So yeah, you love what he's saying. I love hummus. I love bagels, bro. I just love this interview. It was fun. Actually, that's what I'm going to type. Here we go. I love bagels. And it's hummus and bagels. Hummus and I love bagels button. I like dropping these breadcrumbs on Instagram. We get a lot of likes from these comments. All right. So look, you couldn't. This feels like satire, but it's not. MRC Newsbusters, Media Research Center. They're saying, you can't be serious. CNN's Aaron Burnett.
The question is...
Aaron Burnett on the right. I don't even want to read what MRC Newsbusters says. Let's just listen to this, and here you go.
Whether or not the calm can remain when the regime that is still there, who wants death to America, death to Israel, stays in place. And that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together.
The friendliness has existed together. One moment you're saying death to America, the next moment there's friendliness. CNN's Aaron Burnett says there's a friendliness to Iranians chanting death to America. Our comment was, this is exactly why we created the new American media, because the old American media is pure backward propaganda. A friendliness to our death to America chants. Nick Sorter puts this out. Just in, Jasmine Crockett came in last place in her run to become the top Democrat on the powerful House Oversight Committee. She thinks she's a rising star, but even her colleagues know that she's... Well, fill in the blank. He left it blank. In the comments, type Jasmine Crockett is... or is a... Jasmine Crockett is... In the comments, type Jasmine Crockett is, and then fill in the blank. Please don't type something that'll get me in trouble. If you're going to type something bad, try to disguise it, with some dollar signs for S's or something. Anyway, here's Jasmine Crockett, the gift to the Republican Party that just keeps on giving. The more she talks, the more people go, I could never be a Democrat if this is who they are. Here you go.
Y'all did it first. Voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
Voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look, calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is what
No.
y'all do.
Proceeding.
So I'm trying to get clarification.
This is what y'all do.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Miss
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your...
Miss Crockett, you're not recognized.
yelling.
Don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if
I won't calm down because y'all talk noise.
Look, Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
her
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
Sorry.
Chair,
I don't know why
okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes
Not cute.
Miss Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds. 4 minutes. Let Miss Green talk, and then I'll recognize.
But I
someone on
move
this
to
side.
strike her words for a second time based on her second set of personal remarks attacking another member.
Was that AOC chiming in from the top belt?
Chairman Comer.
Because you all cannot
I have an
seem
amendment at
to
the desk,
apply
and this
the
sideshow
rules of the
needs to
committee.
stop.
We have to do this every time.
Hey,
Listen,
I'm
listen,
recognized.
listen,
I'm recognized.
order.
I'm going to
Listen,
go ahead and start talking.
Look, I know. Look,
Could you imagine being this dude trying to like? And I will say, I have felt this way. Jasmine Crockett is just crazy. Jasmine Crockett is a crock of Shiite Muslim. These people shouldn't be on TV. Or it's all part of the act. Or it's just being in a room with people that are just a little out to lunch, you know? It's reminding me of many board of directors meetings for my homeowners association, whether it was mine or when I was in property management working with other companies or with other HOAs. Whew, you get into these back and forth battles and it just goes and goes, and it takes so much out of you to just try to get through the business of the day. But here's your Democrat Party. She tried to become the top Democrat in the powerful House Oversight Committee, but she came in last.
I don't know if you've noticed it. I have 2 hearing aids. I'm very deaf. I'm not understanding. Everybody's yelling. I'm doing the best I can. Can we not recognize Ms. Green and let her
We
get?
cannot because of the rules of the committee, Mr. Chair. That is what I'm trying to communicate in the present moment.
We have a Okay, what's the motion? What's
The motion.
Oh,
You
y'all did it
just
first.
voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
All right. There's your rising star in the Democrat Party. Okay. Let's listen to Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary. Scott Bessent, I believe, is polling as the best secretary in Trump's administration right now. I haven't seen an updated, revised polling on that. Of course, you can't really trust polling, but it's interesting to talk about, and it's interesting. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. I don't know. But Scott Bessent is talking about the big, beautiful bill. Are we getting close to this thing? We're hearing rumblings that, and look, sooner the better. Get to work, get the funding, and get the projects launched. Build the wall, finish the wall, get the infrastructure that we need, set up the defense systems that we need, get things going. I've come around on this a little bit reluctantly. I'm very against excessive spending. Oh yeah, then how can you support? I'm supporting it reluctantly because 12 out of the last 16 years, Obama and his New World Order globalist cult trying to reinvent America, trying to change America from the inside out into something we are not. There's a lot of undoing the damage that needs to happen. I would like to see a much leaner budget for next year. Much leaner. But as all of these wars and these conflicts are popping off, I want to be ready. I want to be prepared. And I want some of these projects to have the funding that they need. They said, $5 billion is too much to spend on our wall. And then they money launder $500 trillion. I don't even know how many hundreds of trillions went through Ukraine. So spare me. But yeah, the sooner Trump has his budget, the sooner things can get started. And we can move on to the other issues. Politics is messy. But I'm just bringing it back. My homeowners association, we needed a ton of money. We needed a lot of stuff repaired. A lot of stuff painted, fixed, and it took a budget. So let's give them the budget. Here's Scott Bessent talking about the big, beautiful bill. Where are we at?
think that we'll see what happens between the Senate and the House. I am confident that what the Senate passes over to the House will move through the House pretty quickly.
Do you expect to have to call some of these members, especially if there's a difference between the Senate bill and the House bill, to try to lean on them to say, okay, this is what you guys have to accept?
I think we've had lots of pre-game meetings, so I think we're in a good spot.
Mr. Secretary, you say this is going to lead to economic growth, but even the CBO, as it accounts for economic growth, says it would add trillions to the deficit over the next decade.
Well, the CBO doesn't account for economic growth.
In the last analysis,
they had a 1.8% static score, or they have a spike and then down, which we at Treasury disagree with, CEA disagrees with, and I believe most Wall Street banks disagree with.
Will you be up here Friday night, Saturday night, maybe talking individually to some of these members as some of these amendments come together to try to get them on board if they have reservations?
Look, we're at Treasury, the administration, we're here for the members. President Trump's leadership on this has been fantastic. Chairman Smith in the House started working on this bill a year ago. Senator Thune has been very ambitious. So my sense is it won't come to that.
How involved will the president be in the final hours here?
President's been involved all the way. So thank you all.
All right, Jack Posobiec here. We're back live, Human Events Daily. There's Secretary Bessent saying that he believes that the big, beautiful bill will be passed quickly. We know that President Trump has set that for July 4th as a potential target date. That's next week. So we will see.
They're trying to get it done by end. Can we normalize also not referring to America's birthday as July 4th? Can we call it Independence Day? I had a friend bust me on that one time. Like, what does it matter? What do you mean? Why are you doing that to me? He's like, it means something. Either it means something or it doesn't. July 4th doesn't say what it is. Independence Day says what it is. And I'm like, that always stuck with me. I'm like, that's a good point. BBB seen dating a BBW? A BBW with a BBL? Hey, there's another one. Anyone else have no idea what we're talking about? David saying, what are these people doing in Congress? Well, they're doing performative art. Scott Adams often refers to the Democrats as the Dramacrats. They're like the drama club. That's what they're up to. The Dramacrats. You know, it's all theater. The theater kids goofing around. Kenneth says it's a con. But I digress. Definitely a con. All right. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. 4th of July, Independence Day. Let's call it Independence Day. Because we need to restore our independence. Put some of that back on track. We will keep our eyes peeled on the big, beautiful bill. I'm not going to play this one, but Daily Mail shared an influencer who was assassinated during a TikTok live stream. I'll keep it muted. A Venezuelan influencer shot and ended on a TikTok live stream after naming high-profile gang members who were allegedly extorting him. A woman is wailing and the sounds of gunfire could be heard. As this Jesus Sarmiento, who has 87,000 followers on TikTok, was ended by armed men who broke into his home. So yeah, Venezuelan influencer. This is why you screen for the people that you're allowing in your country. Venezuelan gang violence. We don't want it here. El Salvadorian gang violence. We don't want it here. No, thank you. Anyway, I'm not going to play it, and it's sad to hear, but it's interesting. It's a reminder that you don't just let anybody into your home. So here's what people say they hate. They draw a line around this. The entire state of California, Oregon, and Washington. You know, oh, it's such a mess. I hate that. I hate those states. But what they really hate are just Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Eugene, Portland, Tacoma, And I assume Seattle's right there. It's the big blue cities that are ruining these wonderful states. Hi, Nimbus. Nimbus is like, what's up, Dad? I hear you're talking. I'll be a part of the show. Oh, hi, buddy. Here, let's go. How do I go full screen? There we go. Hi, Nimbus. He's purr. Ow, jeez. What was that? Did you have a lunch? You had some lunch? Everybody say hi to Nimbus. I start talking and he starts walking. He wants to jump up and see what's up. My 19-year-old home slice here. This dude's been my buddy for a very long time. One of my best friends ever, huh? Ain't that something? Oh, hi. Hi. I love when he reaches out to grab with the paw. Okay, just you don't step on the on the keyboard. Okay, next story. Let me shift this again. So yeah, people don't hate these entire places. They're amazing places. You just got to change how they're being governed. I don't know how. Hi, bud. You doing some handshaking again? Oh, my guy. All right, on to the next story. I don't recall under what context I first saw this video. I don't know under what context I first saw this video of this child, but it cracked me up just because of the way the child articulates the frustration. He goes, "Aye!" The kid goes, "Aye!" Nimbus just wants more attention. He's like, "No, bro, pay more attention to me." Nimbus is saying, shout out to his feline homies. Is that what you're doing? You're shouting out your feline home slices? Yeah, it's in your face, Dad. Anyway, this is the child. This is the meme. I love the internet. The internet was created for stuff like this. The child represents Iran, and the child is pointing at nuclear weapons that it wants. Here you go. No. 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 Aye. No. No. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. You Nimbus, you're settling in here? You gonna hang out up on top? All right. You can hang out, Nimbus. No, you're fine. Trying to move some stuff around so Nimbus can sit here. He's just making himself at home, isn't he? Sure is. Yeah. All right. He's like, the cat is going after my mouse. That is so damn literal. All right, one more time. No. No. All right, moving on. This is perhaps the best video on the internet, though. Here's the leftist perspective. On one hand, we live on stolen land. I hate everything about me and us. That's all it is. Indoctrinated by teachers to say, I hate everything about me and us. Okay. Cool story, bro. Nimbus, you're back. Why can't you find a comfortable spot to lay down? Broseph. Let me see. There we go. Oh, there you go. You're fine. Yep. Okay, you're fine. So yeah, they're saying on one hand, we live on stolen land. I hate everything about me and us. Then on the other, they say borders are just imaginary lines. So which one is it? Can't be both, but they argue both. That's the thing. One of the constant refrains from the Democrats about racism. Marsha, Russia. They say, well, if you're a white person and you're living in a city and you move out, they call that white flight. Oh, you're so bad. How dare you move out of a blue city run by Democrats into the ground, mind you. Massive crime, massive pollution, massive homelessness, massive chaos, graffiti, vandalism, trash. Yeah, okay. You're going to leave? Tisk, tisk, tisk. That's called white flight. You go, oh, well, I don't want to be accused of white flight. Okay, I'm going to stay and I'm going to work. I'm going to make things nicer where I live. How dare you? That's gentrification. You're trying to make a ghetto nicer. How dare you gentrify this neighborhood? Gentrify? You mean clean up the trash and mow the lawn and plant fresh flowers in the flower beds and paint the building? Yes. How dare you? You're making it too expensive for non-white people to live here. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That's the key to the Democrats. Okay, well, thanks for checking in, buddy. And Nimbus. Maybe I should make a stinger that like introduces Nimbus and then says, thanks for stopping in, Nimbus. This is the ghetto Brianna. Yeah, I was sort of thinking of that lady, Ken. Kenneth knows. I got yelled at with my landscaper. I worked hand in hand with as the grounds committee chairman for years and years. This is the ghetto Brianna. We don't want you to fix things up. Then it'll be too expensive for people to rent out here. I don't want renters. I want owners. It's supposed to be a homeowners association of owners that give a shit. And why would you want to rent a place in a dumpster fire? Show some pride. I remember and you had to budget for it. It was a special project to power wash all of our landings and our stairwells and our sidewalks and our carports. That had 70 years of grime and filth and dust and oil and trash and just washed away. Yeah, we clean things up like crazy. But anyway, those are the left at Brianna. We live on stolen land and borders are imaginary. White flight, gentrification. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So just ignore the Democrats. The damnedocrats. Okay, here's some news. According to Unwokeism here, Carmelo Anthony has been indicted by a grand jury and charged with first-degree murder. Let me go to Grok and just make sure I have this story correct. I'm not familiar with that source. All right, DC Drano reporting Carmelo Anthony charged with first-degree murder, being tried as an adult, as you should be. If convicted, he'll spend the rest of his life in prison with no parole, as he should be. Okay, that's confirmed by TMZ Sports. Officially charged with first-degree murder now. The grand jury came back with that. All right, good. I guess there's video, and I guess they watched it, and I guess it shows that this guy is an animal who should live in a cage. I still haven't seen it. I don't have full opinions on the story. Neither should you. And just because you watch part of a sequence doesn't make you an expert either. You got to watch the whole thing. Like the Kyle Rittenhouse thing. You can't just watch a little clip. You got to watch all the clips, which is something we did. It was one of the many things that probably got us shadow banned. Actually deleted from our personal page, our personal profile, several of our groups, and our company page on Meta on Facebook. So take it for what it is. Carmelo Anthony, it's looking like you done messed up, son. And you lost your free range privileges. We'll see how it shakes out. But I can't assure you, but my hunch is that if the video from the school, if it exists, but I've been reading that it does, if it showed something contrary to Carmelo doing this in cold blood, maybe the indictment would be different. But then again, I mean, Daniel Penny was indicted. He shouldn't have been indicted. Kyle Rittenhouse was indicted. He shouldn't have been indicted. So even if the video did exonerate this dude, you're supposed to indict anyway. Or is that only if you're a Republican or a MAGA-leaning person? But if you're a Democrat rioter, it's all good. I don't know. Funds being taken at goshankme.com. Wait, .com or .con? Did you intentionally say C-O-N like convict or? David, that's another great one, Kenneth. Yeah, all day long. Put all your jokes on the side. I love reading them. All right, this is a joke too. Once again, when the left says, well, we're on stolen land. We can't have it. We got to get rid of the stolen land. Someone else should have it. Yeah, but borders are imaginary. Can't be both. So, are the borders secure in America under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Or were you letting in sleeper cells? Well, guess who's talking about sleeper cells now? Because President Trump ended the nuclear program of Iran, allegedly. We'll see how that shakes out. If that program was ended, then are sleeper cells going to attack? Well, why would there be any sleeper cells with Iranians here? Oh, wait, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris opened the border for the Democrats so they could flood into the blue cities so that they could artificially inflate their census count so that they could get more seats in Congress to ram through more bullshit legislation to ruin our country, to steal more money. Huh. Funny how that works. So here's a story on CBS. Sleeper cells.
The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States illegally for nearly 8 years since U.S. officials determined he lied on a visa application on Sunday, just 4 months after the Iranian foreign national was added to the U.S.'s known or suspected terrorist list. He was arrested in central Mississippi. He's now in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, and he's not alone. Over the past 48 hours, ICE officials have arrested 11 Iranian nationals spanning 8 states nationwide. Among them, 5 possessed previous criminal convictions, their crimes ranging from grand larceny to drug and firearm possessions. Also among those apprehended, Ribbar Karimi. While arresting him in northern Alabama, ICE officials say they found his Islamic Republic of Iran Army identification card and allege he served as an Iranian sniper between 2018 and 2021. The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States.
Why would we want any of this in America? Oh, wait, that's why we're supposed to check IDs and filter and screen people at our entry. Huh. DC Drano says, thank you, ICE. A lot of panicins. These are the people that constantly panic over every single thing. Ruined their credibility in the last week. They shrieked like hysterical children while the experts handled business. Very humiliating, to be honest, but we got 20 million illegal aliens, 30 million, by the way. 30 million illegal aliens to deport, so everyone's got to get back in the game. Peace in the Middle East and peace in MAGA. We commented, filter America of the poison of suspected terrorists. Democrats need to face treason charges already. Yes, David, here's our daily reminder that still no treason charges have been brought. But maybe that can change. We shall see. Switch the story. There we go. Well, let me go full screen. Well, that de-escalated quickly. That's the Anchorman. Well, that escalated quickly. Well, yeah, that also de-escalated quickly. Only thing wrong with this is that Trump wouldn't be drinking a beer. He'd be drinking a Diet Coke. But, you know, there's a lot of rabble-rousing, a lot of concern that this was going to be World War III and everybody was freaking out. And, oh, my gosh, the president. Oh, you mean like every president that they can do some things and, you know, without declaring an official war, it's doing a, you know, running missions. That's what presidents do. They're literally voted in by the people to be the commander-in-chief. And yes, you're supposed to declare an official war, but that's not necessarily what this was. This was an operation, a successful stealth operation. And maybe it de-escalated quickly. Time will tell. Not ready to fly the flag from the aircraft carrier saying mission accomplished yet, but it's looking pretty good. Here's the difference between Dick Cheney and President Trump, according to some. Under Cheney, Iraq is building a nuke. I need 500,000 troops, 8 years, and $2 billion. Trump, Iran is building a nuke. Give me 10, 20-year-old pilots and 45 minutes in Iranian airspace. Do you see the difference? Pretty stark contrast. Speaking of military, this fact check will forever live in history. And you know why it's relevant right now? This nutbag, Kamala Harris, could be the commander-in-chief right now. Can you believe we actually got kind of close to letting this nutbag run the American military? Not a good idea. I'm ashamed of anybody who voted for Kamala Harris. Imagine her trying to deal with Iran.
Today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century. What? But let's understand.
So where the fuck are we right now?
As of today.
Yeah, never. We commented, never forgive the Democrats for rigging their primaries to force this Kamala crap upon us. Anyway, that's how close we were to having this hyena running the military. All right.
Congratulations, New York City.
So let's unpack. This is the very first question we were getting today from You Want the Cookie. Finally getting to the top story. Here's Link. I am Link Lauren, talking about New York and what they've done. Here's his take. He unpacks a lot of angles here.
Looks like your next mayor might be a 33-year-old Democrat socialist who wants to defund the police and give $65 million to transgender people for gender-affirming care. So enjoy paying for those sex change operations.
They're not sex change operations. They're unnecessary genital mutilations. You cannot change your sex. You can't change. You are what you are. David saying he really likes Dick Cheney. He's just evil. Kind of saying his iron poor blood has sleeper cells. Da-dun, ching. But yeah, they're not sex change operations. They're unnecessary genital mutilation surgeries. You can't change into something you're not. That's why it's gender dysphoria. It's a clinical condition defined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Illness. Much love to anyone going through this, but it's not a sex change. You can't change. You can change your t-shirt. You can't change your sex.
You did great, guys. Now, this Zohan, Zoolander, Zorro, whatever the hell his name is, Mamdani character, he is a radical. You could not be more far left radical, but he's 33, he knows how to use social media, and he just kept promising free everything. In fact, he even wants to own the grocery stores, which sounds a little communist to me, regulating prices. It sounds very Kamala Harris-esque. Remember, she wanted to regulate prices as well. Now, the Pride Parade is coming up this weekend in New York City, so maybe this Zohan character can go out there and join them. They'll be in their G-strings, their thongs, their puppy dog masks. Those seem to be his constituents. In fact, who he won the most were these college-educated young people, right? The folks at Columbia and Harvard who want to run around in their keffiyehs praising Hamas and Palestine.
Okay. And once again, college-educated, I would take issue with that language. College indoctrinated into this anti-American pro-commie crap.
Those seem to be his people. This is one of those nights where I could not be more grateful that I packed up and left New York City. I saw the writing on the wall for this once great city, right? I went to college in New York. I stayed a few years after COVID, and I said, you know what? Peace. See ya. And for all the people who are going to move out of New York City, if you're going to move to red states like I did, Texas, Wyoming, Florida, Arizona, you name it, don't bring all your liberal failing policies with you, okay?
Don't California my Nashville.
If you saw the failing policies in New York, don't bring them with you to.
And don't bring El Salvador with you to the United States. We don't want your failed states. Now, obviously, El Salvador completely turned things around with Nayib Bukele, thankfully. You got a lot of compassion for people of every country. I really do. Don't bring your crap ideology that turned your country into crap into our country. Don't you dare. Assimilate. Because, what do I say? Immigration without assimilation is invasion.
To Florida. Now, this is a guy who once said you can't have queer liberation unless you defund the police. This seems to be a really big thing for him. And I remember being in New York City after George Floyd when they went and ransacked all the luxury stores like Gucci and Rolex. I couldn't really see the connection, right? George Floyd died, a black man died, and suddenly they needed to go steal and rob and loot designer clothes. I guess this is something Zoran is going to promote because he doesn't want any police on the street. All in all, New York City, enjoy the locust and the monsoons and the fact that you're about to turn into Gotham. And I'll also say this, Eric Adams, he's probably feeling pretty happy right now. He probably feels like he's in a good position. He's running as an independent, but don't forget, Eric Adams is not much better with his little earring and hanging out with Anna Wintour and going to the Met Gala. Eric Adams is trying to pull this whole, I've been indicted, I've been attacked, President Trump, I'm just like you, come help me. No, Eric Adams is also a radical who doesn't want to work or do anything, so he's useless. But New York City has no good prospects and no good contenders, so you might just want to move out while you still can. Imagine living in a city where your only options are a 33-year-old Democrat socialist who wants to defund the police and give money for sex change operations, Eric Adams, who's a liar and a fraud and cares more about wearing his designer clothes than getting anything done, and then Andrew Cuomo, who's probably buried a hooker at least once or twice in his life. Those are your options, New York City. And if you choose to stay there, if you choose to stay in New York City, that's on you MFers, okay? I got out while I still could. If you own property in New York City, I don't know what the hell you are doing. Move out, get out while you still can. But Zohan, congratulations. I never really believed the polls. Ever since that Des Moines Register poll that had Kamala Harris up, polls have meant nothing in the United States of America. And you had a social media campaign. You were speaking to the people. You were going everywhere. Unlike Kamala, who went 40 days without an interview. So you were out there on the streets. You were just speaking a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of crap. As for you guys, I'm going to go to bed. It's late. I have so much more to say about this on my show bright and early tomorrow morning. Spot on with Link Lauren. So make sure you're following. Make sure you've subscribed. I will see you soon. Sleep well. Bye.
New York City, everybody. Up and Adams. Up and Adams. Up and Adams. That's a good one. I was in New York. I reported for Real America's Voice in the Bronx, man. People didn't want the commie crap there. I'm kind of curious how this is all going to shake out. So this was just primaries. And so now Eric Adams is going to run as an independent. Doesn't mean that they elected this guy. It means that they might elect this guy. Let's keep it rolling here. Okay, this is allegedly, and I just all these videos, it's so hard to tell with deep fakes and context, but this is Vladimir Putin allegedly talking about if the Ukraine war wouldn't have happened if President Trump was president. I guess I'll read this. I repeatedly said that this war in Ukraine would not have happened.
Я думаю, что и здесь он прав. Я сейчас скажу почему. Потому что в одном из моих последних разговоров, телефонных разговоров с господином Байденом, я ему сказал о том, что ну, сейчас в деталях не буду вдаваться, у нас, разумеется, записи разговоров есть на этот счет. Я ему говорил о том, что не нужно доводить до каких-то, до конфликтов, горячих конфликтов. Нужно все решать мирным путем. Я ему сказал об этом, Байдену. И действительно, если бы, может быть, если бы Трамп был президентом, может быть, действительно бы этого конфликта бы не состоялось. Вполне допускаю. Говорил неоднократно, что если...
The amount of damage done by Joe Biden seizing control of the United States cannot be understated. From Ukraine to Afghanistan to the American borders, destruction on everything Joe Biden touched. And by the way, Biden was back there overthrowing Ukraine in 2013-14 with Victoria Nuland and Barack Obama pushing the UN up onto the Russian borders that led to this response. So, you know, Biden's directly connected here. All right, let's go to the Adam Carolla show. This is another good one. His show Adam talks about all sorts of topics, which makes it fun and interesting. Or sometimes you'll talk 30 minutes about the Love Boat. But on the news segments, you know, you get Adam's political take on stuff. And it's a pretty solid take. That's why he's been a regular pundit on Fox News. And that's why he sells out his comedy shows. And it's why he is sort of the father of podcasting. He's an interesting brain worth listening to. But they bring up CNN anchor Jake Tapper here on his book tour talking about his kid. And then Adam jumps in with some analysis, kind of explaining how we got here.
CNN anchor Jake Tapper called out left-wing podcaster took a patronizing tone when he shared that his 15-year-old son wants to be a cop.
I went on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless, and we were talking about my kids because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, you know, he's a football player and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son. Oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And like, you know, that was the big laugh. And then
I don't know why that's funny. I don't know why that's something they're discussing. I don't understand why that's... You're going after criminality. Insinuating that you don't like people because their skin color, that's just regurgitating the failed Obama doctrine of division. Don't fall for it.
I got dragged in the comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you are losing elections.
You know, when you're just your average white band young man and you don't care, you don't care. But then at some point you have kids and you start paying taxes and mortgages and fees and dealing with the city and stuff like that, and you start changing the way you look at politics, you know?
See that. Yeah.
You have a kid and you find out your kid didn't get accepted into UCLA because he's white, you know, and then all of a sudden you go, well, whose idea was that? And it's like, well, that's your side's idea. Or your 15-year-old's getting called a racist because he wants to be a cop. Whose idea is that? Well, that's your side's idea. Or you got some young girl and she's using the bathroom in her high school and the dude comes walking in. Whose idea was that? That was your side's idea. Then at a certain point you go, maybe my side has horrible ideas. Now, when you're gay and you're single.
And by the way, wouldn't that be great to have the actual self-reflection necessary to say, maybe my side is full of bad ideas. I mean, yeah, Tapper's like, oh, maybe this is why you guys are losing elections. Tapper, stop with your crap. You covered up Biden being a sock puppet. being a marionette puppet. It's not something that you were unaware of. You were a participant in this. Anyway, Carolla continues here. If you're gay and you're single, maybe you have certain opinions on life.
And you're 25 and you live in a rent-controlled apartment in Santa Monica, you don't have any of these thoughts.
Based tapper, red-pilled tapper.
Red-pilled tapper. His plea to America is either I'm the shittiest journalist in the world or I was lying on behalf of President Biden. Those are the only two we can accept.
CNN anchor Jake Tapper called out left-wing
You're either the worst or you're in on it. I think he's in on it. I used to ask the question, is Obama terrible? Or is he a mad genius? Like, is he just the worst ever at his job? Or is he a part of the problem? I think he's part of the problem. No, I don't think it's accidental he's that bad. I think it's very specific. Hey, speaking of bad, how about ESPN? You want to hear how bad they are? Check this one out.
You want to talk about leaving your broadcast partner high and dry.
So they disagree with you. They do, and I disagree with them, and that's fine. That's what makes America great, right, Pant Ward?
Wicked.
I should rephrase that. Yes. But yeah, I did think opinion are perfectly. Yes, fine. That's a better way to say it. Sorry.
No, that's not a better way to say it. Don't apologize and say sorry about that. Put the comment. No, don't rephrase that.
Why in the hell can't we say that America is great? And here's an example of why America is great. Are we really going to give so much power to a campaign slogan of someone you did not vote for or someone you did not like? That America being great, those words apparently have been hijacked to the level that you now have to apologize for acknowledging that the ability to disagree civilly is great. And it's one of the great things about America. That's what they were doing. They were talking about a difference of opinion on officiating.
It
right,
also
Pam?
feels like an inside dig a little bit. Like, right, Pam Ward?
Hey, this is what makes America great. Right, Pam?
They're in their bubble, including the broadcast, including ESPN. They think everyone thinks like them. They think everyone's offended the same way that Pam would be in that moment.
You want to talk about leaving your broadcast partner high and dry.
So they disagree with you. They do, and I disagree with them.
ESPN, ABC, Disney. Just, there you go, doing it again. If you haven't been outside yet, I'm not sure every place is experiencing this, but where I'm at, it's a scorcher out there. So, hey, how's it going?
What's the weather like out there? It's hot. Damn hot. Real hot. Hotter.
It's damn hot, real hot.
This is my shorts. I can cook things in it. Little crotch pot cooking. Okay.
You gonna do some crotch pot cooking? Who knows what movie this is from?
Can you tell me what it feels like? Fool, it's hot. I told you again. Were you born on the sun? It's damn hot. You can be a little thing.
Were you born on the sun? It's damn hot. Yeah, it's deep into the 90s. Summer is finally here.
I saw it so damn hot. I saw one of those little guys in the orange robe burst into flames.
Saw a little guy in orange robe burst into flames.
It's that hot. You know what I'm talking about. What do you think it's going to be like tonight? It's going to be hot and wet.
It's going to be hot and wet tonight.
That's nice if you're with a lady, but it ain't no good if you're in the jungle. Thank you, Roosevelt. Here's a song coming your way. Right.
Do we all know the name of this movie? I haven't seen this in a long
Right now, Nowhere to Run To by Martha and the Vandellas. What's the weather like out?
What's the weather like? It's hot. You got it, Kenneth. Of course you do. Maybe it's my reminder I need to rewatch this movie, but it's damn hot out there. So look at this. Zoran Mamdani. 420,000 votes. Andrew Cuomo got 351,000. New York Democrat mayoral primary. Why would you vote Democrat? Andrew Cuomo, 351,000 votes. So Marissa is saying, is New York City heading in the same direction as London? A complete Islamic takeover? Is that what's going to happen? Zohan Mamdani. Zoran. Self-described Muslim socialist. No record of holding a normal job. Became a U.S. citizen just 8 years ago. Born in Uganda. Anti-Israel. I don't know. I mean, should foreigners be able to vote? Or should foreigners be able to hold office in America? Should you have to be like the president, natural born citizen? I've read stories of judges who were not born in the United States trying to make decisions for America. And it's like, well, you're not pot committed the same way. So that's the New York Democrat mayoral primary. Let's see if that goes through.
Questions, please.
President Trump taking questions. So he's there with NATO. He's got Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio here. Yeah. Our stand-up comedian in chief, President Trump.
Wow. That's a lot of questions. Who's a nice person? Oh, you're not a nice person, but I'll let you ask one. Go ahead. What's he going to ask? He is not nice at all. I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home. You just said you believe the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I don't.
I think that's a fair question. That's a very fair question. He says, because I dealt with both.
Dealt with both. And they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently. And they were both satisfied to go home and get out. Questions, please?
President Trump on the world stage. I briefly covered this. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said they arrested 449 child predators and rescued 224 kids within 2 operations. Exactly what we voted for. Immigration's custom enforcement agents have arrested dozens of illegal aliens working at a Louisiana racetrack, Pennsylvania construction site as well. Yeah, the construction sites are going to, you know what? Hire Americans. Get the high school kids, the college kids out there working. Learning some skills. Americans will work these jobs. There aren't jobs Americans won't work. You just got to pay them. Adjust the price that you're paying, and you'll figure it out. Oh, it'll cut into profits. You shouldn't be hiring illegal aliens. You know this. You've always known this. Yeah, Zoe ran again. People in New York seem to have lost their minds. Well, I wonder about the biggest blue cities that vote Democrat for 80 years in a row. I wonder if they've just found a way to rig their voting systems. It's statistically more unlikely that they could this consistently vote against their own self-interest than to occasionally elect a Republican. A lot of these big blue cities appear to be completely manufactured votes. We'll see. I don't know. That's my working hunch and suspicion. Or they've lost their minds, as you said. Libs of TikTok is calling this Zohan Mamdani a fraud because of his fake accents. Let's take a listen.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak. This is how I...
Disney. Hey, remember ESPN? It's ABC, ESPN, Disney. Huh. In a Disney movie. Okay.
And
Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted.
There you go. Comments. New Yorkers in a race to the bottom. Didn't Kamala use accents? Another Kamala. I don't know. If I had different accents, I could see swapping in and out of them a little bit. It's not necessarily as damning as some people might make it out to be. All right, here is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth confirming criminal investigation into whoever's leaking bad intelligence to CNN and New York Times on the Iran nuclear program strikes.
It was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report, it was preliminary, it was low confidence. All right, so this isn't, you make assessments based on what you know.
They don't said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated.
Is there a leak investigation? Is there a leak investigation?
Of course, we're doing a leak investigation with the FBI right now because this information is for internal purposes, battle damage assessments, and CNN and others are trying to spin it to make the president look bad when this was an overwhelming success. It was devastation underneath Fordo.
So we'll see. I don't know if it's devastation under four. I mean, if you look at what they say, 420,000 pounds of bombs were dropped. I'm like, what, did Elon put that together? How'd you get to 420? But, we'll see. And then there's also thoughts that maybe they evacuated their nuclear materials. They knew an attack was coming, so they took it elsewhere. Like Larry Elder said, Saddam Hussein probably did in Iraq. And then it's like, oh, blame Bush. See, there were no weapons of mass destruction. It's all just a ruse to get us involved into a never-ending war in the Middle East. And you're like, well, shoot. Is that what we're talking about? They're going after the leakers, though. We shall see. Here is Pete Hegseth again.
The instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12, 30,000 pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated. And somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea.
The instinct.
By the way, 12 times 30 is 360,000, not 420,000. That's the thing about numbers. You see numbers. Sometimes you get the right ones. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're directionally accurate, but maybe not exactly precise. I think it's where you intentionally start trying to nuke some people. Excuse me, when you intentionally try to deceive some people. I think I said nuke. This guy seems like an implant. Who seems like an implant? Pete Hegseth? Or who else? Okay, continuing on. Representative Madeline Dean getting triggered by Pam Bondi, testifying on Trump's 2026 Justice Department budget request.
You want to talk about incompetence? You're the one that said Joe Biden on PBS was competent. You had to retract those words.
Mr.
Don't
Chairman,
talk to me. Don't insult me publicly.
this is so discourteous. This is so outside the committee's guidelines. Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden.
You want to talk about incompetence? You're the one that said Joe Biden on PBS.
Yeah, they can dish it out, but they can't take it. Say in the comments. I don't know. I'm far from being sold on Pam Bondi, but you know she fights sometimes, which I like. Here's this lady saying, "I'm scared of sleeper cells in the U.S." Okay, well, weren't you just protesting against Nimbus? You're walking right on top of all my stuff. You know not to do this. Okay, you wrecked 3 things in 10 seconds, bud. What was I saying? Yeah, the Democrats are just protesting against border security, but now they're worried about sleeper cells. Numbers. Yeah, numbers. What is the... Actually, I can't use Google for a search. I loathe Google. Let's see. Homer quote about using statistics. Cat burglar episode. Homer says, you can come up with statistics to prove anything, Kent. 40% of all people know that. That's what Kent Brockman was doing an interview with Homer on Smartline about the Springfield cat burglar. %40 of all people know that. You can come up with statistics to prove just about anything, Kent. 40% of all people know that. Yeah, not Nimbus. It's more like a Nimburst. Yep, you're back. What you're missing is that Ben is down here. He's saying, buddy, I'm ready for my breakfast. No, you had your breakfast. He's ready for lunch. Some days these guys don't even have lunch. But now they demand it. Anyway, it's just interesting to watch the Dems talk out of both sides of their mouths. Here's Lindsey Graham in a parody post from the Babylon Bee. Politicians warn ceasefire is a slippery slope toward peace in the Middle East. Watch the neocons start issuing chants of hashtag resist. New York City's next mayor, potentially, is about to be a radical Muslim socialist from Africa who only got citizenship 7 years ago. If Eric Adams doesn't win, New York is screwed. Here he is in his glory.
How many more New Yorkers want charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? How many more New Yorkers want to charge that target? How many more New Yorkers want charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment?
I think it takes another screen here.
How many more New Yorkers want to charge that target?
Some of the things that socialist New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani has previously called for. He wants to abolish the NY. This is according to Bill Malugin. Am I in the right screen profile? Yes, this works. I can go that way. According to Bill Malugin, Zohran wants to abolish the NYPD, abolish prisons. I mean, is this guy like an enemy attacker? Like, why would you ever do that? Wants to abolish medical bills. Okay, so the industry would leave. Abolish private health insurance. Ban all guns. Yeah, we have a Second Amendment. You don't get to do that, pal. Legalize sex work. Oh, sexploitation. Okay. Safe injection sites. So you want to make Americans just addicted to drugs and high as a kite all day. Sounds like you're an infiltrator. You want to end cash bail? What does that mean? Then everybody is just out all the time? That's not a good idea. Decriminalize drug possession. Well, you might have me on that one. End sentencing enhancements. Well, for hate speech, sure. For a hate crime, I mean, any violent crime is a hateful crime, isn't it? Most of them. I don't like that there's special designations where it's like, well, if you look a certain way and someone else, or if someone, well, unless you attack a twin of yourself, everything's a hate crime. Oh, no, wait, only white people can be hateful, according to a lot of the people pushing these things from the district attorney offices. So if that's the case, then yeah. If that's what they mean by sentencing enhancement, then I'm okay with that. End all cooperation with, no, you're not stepping up on the computer. Here. Good job, Bean. All right, we'll get you lunch shortly. So that's Ma'am Danny, people.
These pilots, these refuelers, these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons, to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak.
Every day, all they try to do is make him look bad. They don't try to just be honest about what's happening. Every day, it's just rage. You need to disconnect from CNN and MSNBC if you're consuming a lot of it. You just have to. I know that my viewers don't watch that shit. But if you got people in your life, man, try to talk to them to block those channels from their TV.
Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence?
Because you don't have all the information, just like, how could anybody?
Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated.
Okay, I think maybe most of this is the same clip I just played. I just wanted to make sure. We'll move along to the next one. Kevin Kiley says on the House Judiciary Committee, we are opening an investigation into the use of taxpayer funds to fuel the LA riots by the nonprofit CHIRLA. This is in addition to my bill denying such groups public funding and tax-exempt status. Good. Find out who's funding the riots. Here's President Trump again, the UN. Is this the UN? Am I saying? He's got NATO behind him.
That risk their lives for our country.
In the Netherlands.
And then they get fake news, New York Times and CNN, make up a phony.
He's at the NATO summit. There we go.
Story to get some hits. That's the only reason I cared about it, because those pilots were so brave. I've never seen anything like it. They flew into the hornet's nest, and then they got hurt so badly by what the fake news wrote. And it was CNN, it was the New York Times, and they're both disgusting, really horrible groups of people. The pilots did an unbelievable job like nobody's ever seen. They hit pay dirt. You see where I guess you probably look, they call it the wound. You see where the wound is on the earth, and 3 of them right next to each other. Perfect. And they should be admired and respected for what they did. And the fake news, in order to try and hit me, the fake news made them look bad, but now they look really good again. So that was the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, and it was also about the High Commission of Iran. just said it was totally demolished. But we're going to have a news conference in a couple of minutes, and we'll see you, because I don't want to burden the Prime Minister with this. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I love the Netherlands. Are you from the Netherlands?
Yes.
I love the Netherlands.
The Netherlands second?
Where is she?
If the Americans first, if the Netherlands is then second.
Oh no! Well, I know some people put it first.
Yeah.
Have a good time, everybody. Thank you. I'm going to have. I think the summit was fantastic. It was a big success. You had great people here. Everybody showed up. There were all the prime ministers and the presidents and the kings and the queens, right? And I actually had breakfast today with a king and a queen who were beautiful. Beautiful people. Central casting, I must say. Very nice. We had a great time. We thought the Netherlands was fantastic, and I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you. We made big decisions today at the NATO Summit, so that's
things
important.
happen.
Yes,
Mr.
absolutely.
President, you said you would clarify your stance on Article 5 just yesterday. Is that something you can explain
I stand
today?
with it. That's why I'm here. If I didn't stand with it, I wouldn't be here.
So you would defend countries even
Well, what
if they
did
don't
I
pay
just
out their
say?
fair
Yes,
share?
of course. Why would I be here? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you,
Press. Let's go.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Press. Let's go.
President Trump giving the Netherlands its flowers there as he talked about a number of different issues, also previewing the fact that he's going to be hosting a news conference here in short order.
Yeah. President Trump on the global stage. It's a pretty good thing these days. All right. Yeah, David saying they tried to allow possession of all drugs in Canada. It didn't turn out so good. Yeah, I think you just gotta get over on the cannabis situation already. Won't somebody think of the cannabis? Says Kenneth. I know Netherlands, and then can I then see your nether regions? I know Netherlands is a very it's an ominous sounding name. All right. Breitbart here says a soccer team full of 14-year-old boys demolished the Swiss national women's team 7-1. And then they ask, now, what was it that radical leftists like Democrat political activist Simone Biles, who is too cowardly to allow Instagram tagging, by the way, what is it they were spewing about allowing males to compete against women athletes? A team of 14-year-old boys had no problem going through the Swiss women's national team as they defeated them 7-1 ahead of the Euro 25 qualifiers. So, yeah, 15-year-old boys are beating the ladies' national teams. By the way, 7-1, seven goals might be the entire goal tally of an entire season of soccer players. So that was a whooping. I'm being a little facetious there, but not much. When you have 0-0 ties, 1-1, 2-1, it's like, ugh. Like you show up all day for nothing. But yeah, Simone Biles, way off base. Keep the boys out of girls' sports for a reason. When the 14-year-old boys are whooping your national team, your ladies' national team, it's an indicator. Come on, don't be dumb. You know men and women need to be separated in sports. And look, if there's an anomaly of a woman that wants to play in men's sports, so be it. I don't think anybody particularly cares. Just don't ask them to change the locker room for you, and don't expect preferential treatment or going soft. But like, you're gonna, I would have some concerns. I'd be interested in watching ladies compete with men if you have a very, you find a Shohei Ohtani that can just do things you can't believe. Yeah, you don't waste that in the WNBA or whatever. Go play in the NBA if you can handle it. If you can handle the physicality, cool. Yeah, central casting. You're right. He did say that about the kings and queens in the Netherlands. Like straight out of central casting. But yeah, with so many politicians being selected, not elected, yeah, it is a popularity contest for sure. Breaking prosecution dropped some charges in the Diddy case. I'm not really following it day to day on bated breath, like fingers crossed and holding my breath. I'll get to it when we know more about it. All right, here's Marco Rubio discussing the narratives about the Iranian nuclear strike.
No, first of all this stuff about the intelligence, this is what a leaker is telling you the intelligence says. That's the game these people play. They read it, and then they go out and characterize it the way they want it characterized, and they're leakers. This is the game they play. So that's number one. Number two, here's a fact. The conversion facility, which you can't do a nuclear weapon without a conversion facility, we can't even find where it is, where it used to be on the map. You can't even find where it used to be because the whole thing is just blackened out. It's gone. It's wiped out. It's wiped out. Then we dropped 12 of the strongest bombs on the planet right down the hole in 2 places. Everything underneath that mountain is in bad shape. And I refer you to the statement of the IAEA, Mr. Grossi. You know what he said? He said there was Iran, the way it looked the day before the attack, and what their nuclear program looks like now. 2 very different things. They are way behind where they were just 7 days ago. Now, anything in the world can be rebuilt. But now we know where it is, and if they try to rebuild it, we'll have options there as well. But all this leaker stuff, these leakers are professional stabbers. That's what they are. They go out and they read this stuff, and then they tell you what it says against the law, but they characterize it for you in a way that's absolutely false. There's no way Iran comes to the table if somehow nothing had happened. This was complete and total obliteration. They're in bad shape. They are way behind today compared to where they were just 7 days ago because of what the president did. No, first of all this stuff about the
there you go. Don't get it twisted.
This is what
Marco's been all right in this role. I'll say I've been okay with it. What are you doing, Nim? Stephen Miller says New York City is the clearest warning yet of what happens to a society when it fails to control immigration. Migration. Can you just hang out? You just hang tight. Just hang tight, okay? All right, this is a very interesting story here. Gateway Pundit reporting. Breaking ex-Biden aide Neera Tanden admits under oath that House Oversight Committee that she controlled Joe Biden's Autopen. Now, is she the sacrificial lamb here? Is she really the person that did it? Is she just the fall guy? Yeah, there's the comment. Keep digging. Promise it goes deeper than some no-name who was in the office. They took a lot of time to put that together. And the question, how much is she being paid to take one for the team? This comment, Obama was in charge. Mark it. Monitor her bank account. She got big bucks to take the fall. Dr. Jill and Obama gave the orders. That's what people seem to think. Obama in his 3rd term, as he wanted. Fall guy. Everything she signed is nullified. Reverse all of the pardons. Please, let's go get Fauci. It looks like they've set this person up to allegedly take the fall. Hey, something that's happening over in NATO. This is amazing financial progress for the United States. It's about damn time.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership.
Did you say dear Donald?
On this has already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending between America and America's allies. For too long, one ally, the United States.
The U.S. is getting out of having to pay everybody's bills. It's about damn time. Joey Salads puts it in perspective. So Trump does a thing. People panic. Trump turns out to be right. This happens every month. So, do you agree or disagree? I agree. It is the standard operating protocol for the Democrats. NATO is not NATO. How embarrassing, MRC TV says. Congressional Democrats display an obviously fake poll attempting to slam Elon Musk and Doge. They didn't even get the numbers right.
Point of clarification. The poll behind you, behind our ranking member, it adds up to 110%. Just wanted to clarify, is it meant to add up to 110%, or is that an error?
Do you yield?
Yeah, I do.
This is from a Quinnipiac poll that was held 2 weeks ago.
She can't even pronounce Quinnipiac.
And this is the data that was provided. There's a wealth of information, including information about Donald Trump's falling poll numbers, so you should take a look. Thanks.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and it still adds up to 110%. That's a fake poll right there.
Just a point of clarification. The poll behind you, behind our ranking member, it adds up to 110%. Just wanted to clarify, is it meant to add up to 110%, or is that an error?
I love the smugness of this lady, how she answers, and then I think that's MTG putting her in place.
Do you yield?
Yeah, I do.
This is from a Quinnipiac poll that was held 2 weeks ago, and this is the data that was provided. There's a wealth of information, including information about Donald Trump's falling.
And the way she does her finger and then retracts her finger, she's like, ha 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 ha. Super smug, super proud of this.
Poll numbers, so you should take a look.
So you should take a look.
Thanks.
I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and it still adds up to 110%. That's a fake poll right there.
Just a point.
That's beautiful. Yeah, this is why the Democrats are polling at 19% approval rating. Check that number. Hey, New York. Remember in 2001 when radical Islamists blew your city up? Allegedly. Rudy Giuliani, the leader in 2001. Look at where we are in 2025. This is what you're doing? Never forget. They forgot. Escape from New York. Great movie. Fiction coming to life. So New York was conquered by Islam. Is that what's happening here? You want a radical Islamist socialist. I don't know how you get socialism with Sharia, per se. I mean, is this really going to happen in New York City? David agreed with the previous question that we had, and Kenneth is saying that lady from the video, she flunked pole dancing, P-O-L-L, dancing. Pole dancing. I see what you did there. President Trump talking about his conversation with Vladimir Putin.
As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, "Can I help you with Iran?" I said, "No, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you." And I hope we're going to be getting a deal done with Russia. Yeah. As you know, Vladimir called me up. He said, "Can I?"
As you know, Vladimir called me up. I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you. He's trying to wage some peace. Check this out. A California vice mayor reportedly under federal investigation for posting and then quickly deleting a video to her socials, calling on local gangs to take action and stand up to federal agents on ICE raids. DHS has condemned her call to action.
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you.
Being invaded by the biggest gang there is. Bitch, this is America. Are you kidding me? This is a Los Angeles vice mayor, or a California. Hang on. Where are all the cholos at? Cudahy, California. I don't know where Cudahy. Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez calls LA gangs to action. Where you at when it comes to defending their territory against federal agents on ICE raids throughout LA County. DHS condemns her comments, saying this kind of garbage has led to more than a 500% increase in assaults against our ICE law enforcement officers.
It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there like fighting our turf, protecting our people. And
our turf, our people. Bitch, you're allowing an invasion of California. Our turf, our people. What are you talking about? You're in California. That's in America. You are encouraging the invasion and overthrow of California. This lady needs to be locked up right now. There's freedom of speech, and then there's what she's calling for, which is violence against ICE. And she's trying to spin it exactly the opposite of what she's saying.
Like, where you at?
Like,
bien calladitos, bien calladitos, todos los chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up on your street.
Dude, they're running like amok on your street? You mean law enforcement to get rid of the illegal alien invaders who are invading California? Sounds like she's on the side of the bad guys.
On your streets and in your city. And peep, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but like quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying to claim no block, no nothing. If you're not showing up right now, trying to like help out and organize, I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out.
No, it's Californians' block. And you're encouraging the invasion of California. This lady needs to be arrested.
So whoever's the leadership over there, just fucking get your members in order.
Wow. We're going to say, okay, this is way over the line. This woman must be charged with treason. Agree or disagree? My God. What an absolute mess. President Trump is speaking, and he speaks with a Ukrainian reporter whose husband is involved.
I'm from Ukraine.
The situation as a soldier.
So my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you're very, it's amazing.
And me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually, because he wanted me to be.
Is your husband a soldier? No?
He's
there now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
In Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So
I'm from Ukraine. So my question to you.
President Trump showing compassion to a Ukrainian reporter. All right, let's buzz through our X feed here as we wrap up today's program. Trying to make sense of what's happening in the world. If there's a story that you wanted us to hear, if you wanted us to speak on, to hear our take on, tell us in the comments section. Hit like, hit subscribe, however it is that you're watching right now, please. Hold on. Trying to close this out. There we go. Closed. Okay. So this is happening in the housing market. Where's it at? Switch to the screen. No. The screen. No. Go like that. How about that? I'll stay small. Investing.com says U.S. May new home sales have plunged 13.7% month over month to 623K. It was estimated at 694,000. Previously, it was 722. So new home sales are dropping. Spencer says housing market's completely frozen. Texas, Florida, an outright real estate recession. Most of the Sun Belt is soon to follow. How do we avoid recession with housing contracting this severely? We said home interest rates are the culprit. Drop the damned interest rates to 1% to cover administrative costs and unlock American home success. These artificially inflated usury rates are abusive. 90% of our monthly mortgage shouldn't go to the damned banksters for doing nothing. And that is definitely what you have going on. You have too many people stuck. Yeah, they might want to downsize or upsize, but they're in a loan at a very great interest rate. To go somewhere else, they'll pay 3 times the interest rate. They'll be pissing away half their mortgage to the damned banksters. Get rid of the banksters. Oh no, I'm on a list now. Great. Yeah, sorry. I'm advocating that people don't become debt slaves for life. Oh no, I'm so evil and radical. People don't want, they can't. People are stuck. I'm dying to refinance my mortgage. It used to be at a great rate. Had to switch the terms and sort it out. Now I'm at a shit rate. Oh, it used to be 20% under Jimmy Carter. Yeah, everything was trash under Carter. So you're 6%. It's really not that bad. It's terrible when they were 2%. Go back to 1% interest rates. Just drop it. Find a nationwide program where it's 1% interest rate. Watch what happens when we stop wasting our money on this mortgage payment. And you can actually put it toward the principal balance. We'd have our homes paid off in 10 years. Then for 20 years, we could use all that extra money instead of just lining the pockets of the slave masters known as banksters. Yeah, they're slave masters. That's offensive to people who are really slaves. What do you think it is when the home that should cost you $500 a month is $1,500 and 2/3 of it's all going to interest? I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out. Like my numbers are way off because I don't have this planned and prepared in my head exactly. But it's like 95% of your mortgage payment goes to the interest only. And then over time, it goes 94%, 93%, 92%. Oh, look, 80% of my payment is going to the banks now. That means I'm up to 20% is going to principal. Wow, that's so good. How about just make it a principal payment? Why can't we have a program for Americans born in America to have an American house where, how much cheaper your mortgage would be? Instead of paying $2,000, maybe you'd pay $700 a month and you'd own it outright in 10 years. And then at that point, all the money you're earning can go to your retirement fund. You can invest into whatever you want to invest in. No, banksters have to be filthy rich. I am so sick of it. So sick of it. Anyway, back to the stories. See, new home sales, 623, expected 693. Last month was 743. So new home sales are dropping, but we're also deporting a bunch of people who snuck into the country illegally. So the demand for that much housing is going to drop a little bit. But that should hopefully open up the market for first-time home buyers, American citizens, to buy their first place. Get in the game. Jennifer Lawrence, not that one, says, oh, so this scumbag cokehead Zelensky, he can wear a suit for the globalists at The Hague, but he couldn't be bothered to wear one to the White House. I don't know. I'm not sweating it that much. President Trump here putting
out of Air Force One as he's arriving in the Netherlands for the NATO summit. Let's continue to listen in here to see if we get any comments from the president.
Make no mistake, he's there not as a globalist. He's there to represent the United States. No comments? No comments. Okay. But man, it feels good having somebody to represent America and not the banksters. We need to repeal 1913. The income tax, the Federal Reserve private banking cartel, and the Anti-Defamation League. All 1913, get rid of all of them. Reset America, and let's put prosperity back into the hands of Americans. And if that's too much for you to bear, then if that sounds like a you problem. John Birch Society here says, Americanism is the sword that cuts through tyranny. Stand firm against the insiders and the globalists. Oh, this one's for David and for our other friend in Toronto there. Mark Carney is part of a small fringe minority of unacceptable globalist elites who do not have the best interest of Canadians at heart. They don't believe in freedom and are often tyrannical authoritarians. So this leads us as a country to make a choice. Do we tolerate these people? No. Rise up. Brian Cates says the globalist death cult is right now seeing that they have utterly failed. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. No. No, it can't be. No. We can't be filthy rich unless we put hundreds of thousands of bodies into bags. The military-industrial complex demands sacrifices, blood cult sacrifices. It can't be. No. No, we can't have peace. So Marty up north here says, this is what 5% of GDP looks like on a per capita basis. USA, $4,400. Germany, 28. Canada, 27. UK, 27. France, 24. Japan, Russia, China, India. 5%. Trying to make sure all these other countries are paying their fair share, to borrow the phrase of the Marxists. They need to pay their fair share in the UN. WikiLeaks says, I'm sorry, from NATO. I guess I keep saying UN and I'm blurring these together. Trump posts a message from NATO head Mark Rutte about raising military expenditure, much of which goes to arms companies, to 5% of GDP. Quote, Europe is going to pay in a big way, as they should, and it will be your win. Ex-Italian Prime Minister Conte slams NATO defense spending hike as economic suicide. Yeah, well, imagine how we felt, punk. Quote, if the proposal to raise defense spending to 5% of GDP is approved, the NATO member states in Europe alone would triple current expenditures. Yeah, because you've been freeloading for decades, you bum. He says this is political and economic suicide. Is it now? Imagine how we feel covering your bills. Here's President Trump speaking about it.
In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, you did it, sir, you did it. Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States, because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. In a very historic milestone this week.
There you go. We're not going to be ripped off anymore. by people who selling us out. Does this Zorro Mad Damami guy who wants to run New York have a thought on Israel-Iran?
And Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries. Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international
Our values? You mean your radical Islamic values, or
law. It's time that our actions are also.
Even though the US is not a signatory to the ICC?
No, it's time that we actually step up and make clear what we are willing to do to showcase the leadership that is sorely missing in the federal administration.
And Mayor Mamdani.
All right. There's his thought there. Radical extremist madness. All right. Mama K says the fact that Eric Adams now seems like the only viable way that New York can save itself. It's pretty telling on how far insanely left the Democrat Party has become. Nick says, I can't believe I'm rooting for Eric Adams. Eric Adams says, while some are running from their record and others have no record, I am proud to run on my record. So jobs up, crime is down. Delivers, never quits. Eric Adams is running as an independent. He's left the Democrat Party. I don't know if that's official or unofficial exactly how that's termed, but I believe he's running as an independent trying to beat that guy. He has the name recognition too. And if you're not a radical Islamist in New York City, you know, maybe you got a chance. We'll see. Eric says, what New York deserves is a mayor who's proud to run on his record, not one who ran from his record, or one who has no record. We deserve a mayor who will keep driving down crime, support our police, fight anti-Semitism. Oh, he's going after the Jew vote for sure against the Muslim. I don't think Eric is Jewish or Islamic. He's saying that he is a mayor who will keep driving down crime, supporting police, fighting anti-Semitism, and standing up for working class New Yorkers. Well, what that Zoran, the socialist, is doing, he's trying to steal all your money and, you know, oh, we're going to give you this for free. We're going to have government grocery stores. It's like, dude, go to China. Go to Europe. What are you doing in the United States? And that's why you don't let someone who's only been here for 7 years jump in and try to play politics. You shouldn't be able to run a city like New York if you've only been a citizen for 7 years. You should be a natural. You should be born in America as a minimum requirement to serve in public office. For mayor, for Congress, for president. It's a requirement for president. It should be for mayors. It should be for Congress. This guy and his commie crap coming in from, what is he, from Uganda? Government grocery stores. Okay, no. Go back to Cuba. So there you have it. He says it's time to unite. It's time to fight. We have a city to save. Eric Adams, good luck. Juanita Broderick says, I did not have Eric Adams as New York City's last hope on my bingo card. Man, that happened fast. Agreed. Open-minded approach puts this out, you know, for your consideration. 10 million views. Says we've been lied to about our entire history and the origins of human civilization. We're still being lied to because of what's coming. But you can put two and two together if you look outside their mainstream scientific framework. The speed of the North Magnetic Poles movement was around 10 kilometers per year for most of the 20th century, then suddenly increased in the 90s to over 50 kilometers a year, moving towards Siberia. They made this graphic in 25, and what it reveals will change how you see your future. It's why billionaires are building doomsday bunkers. Here's an interesting thread for you to check out. James O'Keefe is going after who he calls a dirty Fed who got sloppy, publishing private texts, and litigation is revealing your source on the board of directors. It's unlawful, tortious behavior to expose what happens in the boardroom, but you got prideful. You let your obsession with me get in the way of practicing good operational security. You're not above the law, Fed. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, and we'll watch all of you scatter. James is going hard in the paint, everybody. So is Candace Owens. She says there's influencers getting paid. You want to make a quick 10 grand? Listen to Candace.
That somebody reached out to me, someone that I trust very much, and said, Candace, just want you to know, we're on opposite sides of this thing, but there's money behind this pro-Israel movement. Billionaires and Israeli billionaires reached out, asked so-and-so to make a video that is pro-Israel. And then an influencer reached out and said that people are being offered money to make anti-Candace and anti-Tucker videos, up to $1,000 for a micro influencer. That's a lot of money. This person has got to have a lot of money, whoever's behind this. And so today we did something because we're so interested is we put a bounty out, $10,000 for an influencer that got paid, a micro influencer. Don't care if you're micro. You email tips@CandaceOwens.com and show us the concrete email of who paid you to make a video about me and Tucker and to say that we must be funded by Qatar, because that's the disinformation campaign that's happening right now. And we'll give you 10K, no questions asked. I don't care if you already made the video. We will not ever reveal your name. You can go on and live your life. Okay. Promise that. That somebody reached out to me, someone that I trust very much. And
it's a good idea. You know, these fake influencers getting paid to read scripts. It's, I get it, but let's expose it. Andy No says a D.C. civil jury ordered a January 6 man to pay $500K to the widow of a Capitol officer who ended himself. The widow claimed her husband suffered catastrophic depression after getting into a scuffle with the man and then offed himself days later. I don't know about this one. I've got thoughts on that. I don't know how you'd go about proving something like that. If you can even prove something like that. I don't think you can, honestly. That they're the reason? I don't know. What someone decides to do in their moment of tension and stress, I don't know if that's your fault. I mean, you set the chain of reaction in... Well, no, what set the chain of reaction into play was all the shenanigans in the 6 or 7 fraud states, or swing states. That's what did it. Anyway, David says that Zoran guy, that radical Islamist in New York, the socialist, not good for New York. How is that guy allowed to run for mayor? I don't get it. He shouldn't be allowed to. Only 7-year citizen pushing commie crap in the United States. Get out of here with that. Says it sounds like the New York of Cuba. Like, seriously. Hey, here's Milton Friedman discussing what government does. You want to, this Zoran guy in New York, he wants to have government stores. Well, government spending turns into tax.
As I said before, keep your eye on one thing and one thing only, how much government is spending, because that's the true tax. Every budget is balanced. There is no such thing as an unbalanced federal budget. You're paying for it. If you're not paying for it through it in the form of explicit taxes, you're paying for it indirectly in the form of inflation or in the form of borrowing. The thing you should keep your eye on is what government spends. And the real problem is to hold down government spending as a fraction of our income. And if you do that, you can stop worrying about the debt.
Yeah, so you can have sound economic policy or you could have socialist weirdness. Marjorie Taylor Greene asking today's Democrat witness a simple question. If you're curious who to vote for and who to vote against, this is what the party stands for and what this party stands against. Here you go.
Ms. DeVito, in your testimony, you talk about so-called failures of DOGE in your opinion. But do you support the federal government funding HHS and NIH studies that promote the genital mutilation of children? Do you support forcing Americans?
Yes, it's called genital mutilation surgery. It's not gender affirming care. It's not health care. It's unnecessary genital mutilation.
To pay for
because you cannot change into something that you're not, no matter how many surgeries you have. You want to live a fancy life, live your fancy life. You want to dress a certain way, dress a certain way. But you use the restroom of the sex that you have. You don't creep on people of the opposite sex. And if you want a surgery, you pay for your surgery. It's not society's issue to jump in and encourage you to live in the delusion of being something that you're not. Also, we shouldn't be cruel to people suffering from gender dysphoria, but it's definitely not something we need to be subsidizing. And whether you agree with abortion or disagree with abortion, the fact that people don't want their money being spent on something that they find abhorrent with abortion, that should be fair. That should not be a federally mandated thing. And in fact, it's not one of the several topics covered in the Constitution that we're supposed to be handling on a federal level. It is a states' rights issue. And if you don't like what your state's doing, go to another state. Anyway, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about these surgeries.
Genital mutilation of children? Yes or no, Ms. DeVito?
Thank you for your question. I think we all agree that the government should work for people.
No, I asked you, do you support genital mutilation of children and the American people having to pay for it? That's a yes or no question.
I think government research is responsible for all sorts of innovations that we enjoy
So you do,
today.
so for the record, you do support the American people paying for top and bottom surgeries of children?
I think
cutting off the breast of young girls, teenage girls, and castrating teenage boys. You support the American people paying for that?
I think government research is incredibly important.
That's
to
not
our
research,
overall
Ms.
innovation.
DeVito. That's mutilating kids' bodies before
Unnecessary genital mutilation.
they're old enough to vote, before they're old enough to join the military, before they're old enough to even be adults. That's what you're saying the American people should pay for. Just so you know, Ms. DeVito, and I'm very proud to announce that I have a bill called Protect Children's Innocence Act that will criminalize sex changes on children, and that bill will see a vote on the House floor, and I look forward to my Republican colleagues and hopefully Democrats that come to their senses voting yes for that bill, because it's absolutely repulsive and disgusting, and America voted against that this past election.
America did vote overwhelmingly against that. Mike Davis says this left-wing radical Biden judge got jammed through the Senate in December in the lame duck session after Democrats lost the White House and lost the Senate. 6 months into the job, Massachusetts U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy is now openly defying a Supreme Court order. Oh, that's funny. Democrats clarify that no one is above the law that they selectively enforce. Douglas Mackey spun this around. District Court judge issues an injunction against the Supreme Court. Yeah, that's not how that works. Boston has gone full-blown communist insurrectionist. God, these cities need help. Stephen Miller talked about this and said a Boston judge halted deportation of illegal aliens convicted of child rape and murder. Finally, the Supreme Court stepped in and halted the judge's lawless edict. Late last night, the Boston judge claimed authority to overrule the Supreme Court and defied the court's order. Oh, man, they got to put this guy in jail and make an example out of him. Here's far-left NYC mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani saying well, just listen to what he said.
Alhamdulillah, there are 1 million Muslims in this city. 200,000 of us are registered to vote as Democrats. In the last election, only 7% of us voted. Now, I will not blame anyone because often it feels like there isn't much to vote for. But this June 24th, with early voting starting tomorrow, it is an opportunity for us to show that Muslims don't just belong in New York City, we also belong in City Hall. Because yesterday I stood on the debate and Andrew Cuomo stood next to me. And here was a man who was the governor for a decade, and he could not name a single mosque he had ever visited. He could not name it because he does not care. Alhamdulillah, there are 1 million.
Zohran says he's going to make New York City's City Hall Muslim. Is that what you want, New York? What happened to never forget? Wasn't that the rallying cry after the 9/11 Islamic terror attacks that destroyed your city? Now you want City Hall to be Muslim. Is that's New York? Gateway Pundit saying DHS reveals that a masked anti-ICE terrorist assaults an ICE agent with a weed whacker. after local fake news pushes hoax that ICE was violently detaining a Santa Ana father and calls the attacker a victim. Wow. And
I don't
wokeness
fucking
put
care,
this up.
you white boy. Damn, nobody fucking cares about you. I know why you want me. And I'm good looking too. Let's leave.
There's this guy yelling at him, calling him a white boy and showing him his skin and sounding pretty racist. Security guard politely asks this guy to leave, sir, as he destroys computers while ranting about white supremacy.
I hate all of you fucking white people. Why would they send me an ID with no why? I'm not sure. Why? I can't do that. I can't. I'm one man. I'm one man with a 22 kid. No money
You're telling me this guy can't be tackled and removed from the office?
for nobody. If I can't get shit, ain't nobody get shit. What kind of bullshit is that, bro? That's a fucking horseshit.
All right. I don't know what context we're supposed to gain from that. Oh, hey, by the way, did you guys see this? This one bothered me. Todd Starn says, why are these white people being attacked by this mob after the NBA championship game? You know, I come on. You want to gently taunt. Don't steal stuff and don't assault people. This makes me very against Oklahoma City winning this NBA championship. They rip his hat off and take it from him. And they're saying he's just a kid, and they're just harassing this guy, stealing his stuff. He's a kid. So screw you, Oklahoma City. Gloria says OKC never deserved an NBA team. Maybe take the Thunder away from OKC for this crap and return them to Seattle where they belong. Huh? This video makes us sick. Shame on OKC. For shame. Roger Stone putting this out about Representative Frank D. Lucas in Oklahoma. Frankly, come lately. For 15 years, the Chinese have purchased tens, if not hundreds of thousands of acres in Frank Lucas's district. Where was this rhino, Republican in name only, pork barrel politician? Oh, he was spending your money, running up trillions in deficits. Now he wants to claim credit for fixing the problem when the horses are out of the Frank's barn. Primary Frank Lucas in 26. Marjorie Taylor Greene brought up the fact that President John F. Kennedy did not want Israel to have a nuclear weapon. And then he ended up getting taken out. The very recent declassified JFK files revealed something very alarming about our CIA and the government of Israel, says MJ Truth Ultra. One of the most stunning admissions to date. Not one reputable news agency reported on it. Not one government official or politician has said anything about it. These documents came from one of the most heavily redacted documents known to exist, the Church Committee testimony of James Angleton of the CIA. These documents showed the CIA's secret role in atomic weapons transfer, arming Israel with nuclear technology against JFK's wishes. Angleton at that meeting, did he raise with you the subject of atomic technology from the CIA to Israel? Yes. The unredacted files reveal Angleton, CIA, confirms atomic technology and or knowledge transferred to Israel against the wishes of JFK. Anyway, this goes on and tells you about it. Dig into this post and dig into the topic. Well, hi. Mr. Ben, hold on. Whoa, Mr. Ben, hold on. Hold on. I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay, just right here. Just here. You're good. My screen went blank. He pressed a button. Why is my screen blank? My screen is blank. Well, that was an interesting maneuver, Ben. Okay, I should be back. Okay, I'm still on. I don't see my screen. Camera off, camera on. Why am I not seeing my screen? Okay. I can't see my screen. My camera's not working now. Now it's a blank screen. You can hear me. Okay. I don't know what he did. Okay. Ben doesn't normally jump up onto the desk like that. I think I'm still talking. I think you can still hear me. Can you hear me? Yes, I'm still talking. Okay, I can put that on the screen, but I can't. Where's my camera? What? Ben, for real, what did you do? Okay. Well, you can hear me, but I okay. I've pressed the buttons that I thought he was pressing. I don't know why my screen is not showing. All right, fun. Well, yeah, leave it to a cat. All right, well, look, that's essentially what I wanted to cover on today's show anyway, as I wrapped up my X feed. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to have to restart the computer. I don't know what he pressed. He was on the top left, escape, F1, F2, F3. Yeah, more like F me. The screen brightness. I don't know what he stepped on. Nothing's wrong with my camera. I can share the screen and put things on the screen, but I'm just not here anymore. My goodness. Well, yes. Thank you again, everybody. I'm going to wrap it up for now. I'm going to have to restart my computer and see if I'm going to be good for tomorrow or if he permanently changed some setting. I hope not. I couldn't imagine that happening, but you never know. Mr. Ben, how could you be more disruptive than Nimbus? He found a way. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I will sign in tomorrow as long as I have a video to show you. As long as my camera will work. I'm going to restart now and hopefully get this squared away. I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care of everybody. Bye-bye.
guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.